Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today, we are doing something a little bit different and quite fun here on the channel. That is a live 2021 NFL mock draft, but we won't be making the picks here at Utility Sports. Instead, you guys will be making those selections. We are excited to hear from you guys, everything that you have to tell us. We are very excited to interact with you guys and really hear what you have to think about the NFL draft. We will be getting that going here pretty soon once Austin does join the stream as well. Doing a little bit of a warm-up here. JRX says, hello, welcome to the stream. JRX, we love having you in here. It is awesome to hear from you yet again. You've been one of our best subscribers. JRX says he just got the notification. That is awesome. If you guys are new or you don't have those notifications turned on, make sure you do so you don't miss out on any utility sports content, a lot of different football and a lot of different basketball stuff. We post a whole bunch of different things. We might even start posting a little bit of soccer if that's something you guys are interested in. We have been considering starting to do that a little bit here on the channel. Not something we have done yet at this point, but is definitely something we are interested in doing. JRX, we really love having you in here. Let us know if you guys are in on the live stream as well. We'd love to hear from you guys. Everyone, welcome to the stream. It means a lot having you in here. Jacob Corder says, let's have some fun. Yes, exactly. We are going to be doing a live mock draft, but you guys, our viewers, will be making these selections. We love hearing from you guys. You guys bring in a lot of insight yourself that, you guys teach us just as much as we teach you. We love working with you guys here at Utility Sports. You guys are the best viewers on the planet. I firmly believe that. We have some really, really intelligent viewers, some people that really let us know where we're making some mistakes, what they think could happen in the NFL draft. And it's absolutely awesome hearing from you guys. As we do this, I'm going to be posting the link here on Twitter about live now for a 2021 NFL mock draft. Make some picks with us. Hashtag NFL draft. Go ahead and tweet that out. If you guys aren't following us on the socials already, make sure you are doing that so you don't miss out on any of our stuff. Khalid says, what's up? Welcome to the stream. He says, let's go Utility Sports coming in clutch. Glad to have you in here, Khalid. JRX says, we need more people in here. Yes, we definitely do. If you guys have any friends that are interested in talking sports, direct them to our channel. We'd love to have more of your guys' friends in here, some of your family members even maybe. It would be absolutely awesome to get a little bit more support from you guys. You guys are such great viewers already. It'd be awesome having some of your friends as well, because I'm sure they'd be just like you, bringing some of the greatest support on the planet. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us. Mike Rosen says, this is going to be good. Yes, it is. Me and Austin are going to be breaking down your guys' mock draft picks. Hopefully we can get quite a few people in here as we go so we can really see what the picks are going to be. We'll have like a 5, maybe 10-minute clock per pick. That's kind of my thoughts going on it as well. Khalid says, hit that like button. Yes, guys. Also, if you have any questions right now before Austin gets into the live stream, go ahead and ask them right now, because I'll be going through. We'll just talk some generic football too before we get into the actual NFL mock draft portion of this live stream. It's been a little while since we've done a live stream, so it's awesome getting some time to talk to you. We've been super busy. I've been working a part-time job teaching and also full-time school, and Austin's been working a full-time job. So we've been really trying to grind to get that content out for you guys. Hopefully you guys still have been enjoying it. Kevin, welcome to the stream. He says, what's up? Glad to have you in here, Kevin. Hopefully you are excited for this mock draft. Let your friends know. Send them the link here to the video. Let's try and get as many people in this live stream as we possibly can for the video here today. I'm going to try and get some on our Facebook as well. Make sure to go check out our socials in the description right now as well. Kevin says, subscribe. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate the support. I'm really looking forward to doing this with you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this as well. It has been a lot of fun working with you guys. So it would be very awesome to see you guys a little bit more often. I'm trying to get more live streams out. This next week's going to be a little busy for me, but the week after that, we should get back into more of a regular schedule for streaming a little bit more often for the NFL draft, because that's coming up very, very soon. I'm very, very excited for that. We are less than 14 days away now at this point, and it'll be absolutely awesome hearing from you guys. I'm just posting the link here into a few Facebook groups, trying to get more people into the live stream here. Hopefully you guys are excited for it. Hopefully you guys have been doing your research. The Sports Scoop, welcome. What's up? Hopefully you can stay in here and also participate in this mock draft. Mike Rawson wants to know, will there be trades? At this point, we're not going to do trades for this mock draft just because it's a little difficult. And with everyone making their picks, we don't want to, not let anyone have their voice be heard in a way and say, oh, well, I didn't want to trade the pick. I wanted to make a selection here. So we are just going to be sticking at this point. Maybe we'll try and figure out a way to incorporate trades into the future. That would be awesome, Mike. Hopefully that still works for you. I think this is a pretty good situation. Obviously, we already had the 49ers trade too. The only team I think that's probably very likely to trade at this point would be the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll see. Khalid says, thank you for all the hard work. Thank you guys for being the best viewers on the planet. We really do appreciate everything you guys do. Jacob Quarter says, are y'all going to be doing a live stream reaction to the draft? Yes, we will be. Draft day is, I believe, April 29th. April 29th, we will be going live around 6 p.m. Central Time. That is the exact same time as right now, which is an hour before the draft, I believe. And on that day, we're going to be doing our final 2021 NFL mock draft prediction. Me and Austin will both be giving our own mock drafts ahead of the NFL draft. So you guys are going to want to make sure you're there for that. And then we will be live streaming the duration of the draft with audio. So you guys will be able to hear the picks. If you don't have TV, you'll have a way now to keep up with the picks live. So I'm very excited for that. That way you guys will be a part of seeing our reaction, our thoughts. We'll also be making predictions throughout the draft as it goes. And hopefully we'll be seeing my New York Jets make a couple good picks. I'm sure Austin's Jacksonville Jaguars will nail a couple as well. Khalid says he's so excited. I'm glad to hear that, Khalid. It is very awesome to hear that. I'm very excited myself. So it'll be awesome getting to see what really goes down at this point. Let me put up some of these links. Live mock draft. Join now. Let me just put some of these out here so we can get some more people here into the group. It would be absolutely awesome if we could get more. Let your friends and family know too. If you guys don't mind, it would be awesome getting some more people in here and really diversifying the NFL live draft here. Live mock draft. Thank you guys again for all the support and all your patience with us when we're busy. Jared X says, Bills need an edge. There's a few guys I'm looking at. That is awesome, Jared X. We will see who is available for Buffalo when we get to pick 30. It'll be very, very exciting. Jared X, you've got a little bit of a ways to wait for your Bills pick, but nice thing is you'll have a say in all the other picks as well. Trevor Lawrence probably going to be the first overall pick. I'd be surprised if he isn't in this rendition here. Obviously, we'd love to have you guys be as realistic as possible, but you never know. There'll be a little bit of switch-ups. People look at things a little bit differently, so it'll be awesome to see here. Draft order 1 through 16. The first half is on the ticker right now. And, guys, welcome back again to Utility Sports. We love having you here at the moment. It is so awesome having all the support from you guys that we have had. Khalid says, let's get people in here. That's exactly right. We are still waiting for Austin. He should be here in just a little bit. My guess is in the next 5-10 minutes or so, he will be in here. And then we will get the show on the road. My thought is we'll probably give 5 minutes per selection. We'll put up a post on our YouTube here telling people to go check that out. And then what will happen is they can go onto YouTube itself, whether it's on their mobile app, and go to the community section of our page and vote from there. That would be awesome. Mike Rosen says he can't wait for the Bengals at 5. Yeah, the Bengals are in a great spot. You're probably going to either get a great tackle or a great receiver, whether that's someone like Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase. We'll see which way the community decides to go, Mike. But I'm excited. Mike, I'd love to know who would be your preference at pick 5 for Cincinnati come the actual NFL draft. Nathan Joyner says, please tell me that you agree the Bengals have to go with Penei Sewell. That's an interesting question, Nathan. I'd love to hear who Mike has to say. I have my thoughts on it. We'll break that down during the actual mock draft. We will be giving our thoughts on who you guys select for your teams. That would be awesome. Jacob Corder does agree with you, Nathan. He thinks that Penei Sewell should be the pick for Cincinnati. I definitely see that as a reasonable selection. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying all the content we've been posting lately. It's been a lot of fun. So it would be great having all your support. You guys have been killing it lately, leaving great comments. And it just means a lot having such good support from you guys. I'm not going to lie with you. Sometimes we do get some pretty mean messages across the channel. So having the support from great viewers like you guys is really awesome. Mike Rosen says either Sewell or Pitts. I definitely see those as great options for Cincinnati. And Khalid says he would love for the Giants to draft Rashawn Slater. I agree. That would be perfect. Pairing him with Daniel Jones, giving him someone who's going to be a real pass protector. I think that would be great. We'll see. Rashawn Slater, will he go before pick 11 tonight in this mock draft? We will see yet at this point. Let me know. Would you guys be interested in other live streams where maybe Austin and I do a couple live mock drafts ourselves? Maybe just talk about the prospects, just stuff like that. Oftentimes him and I do a lot of different stuff in that regard. And I think Austin is coming in to the live stream right here. We will be adding him here in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome, Austin, to the stream. How are you doing tonight?
Feeling good. I'm excited to get this mock underway.
Yeah, we got a lot of different people in here already. Jer X already stopping by. Mike Rosen, Khalid also in here. They've been asking some great questions as we are getting into it. So now let's pull up the board. Here we are. The Jacksonville Jaguars are about to be on the clock. I'm going to create the post right now for pick 1, Austin. Who should be the options for the board for the Jacksonville Jaguars here at pick 1? Trevor Lawrence and who else?
Well, I think Trevor Lawrence would be a fine sole option, but if we're going to give it a fair chance, it'll be Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and then I guess you have to just put all quarterbacks on there, and then Lance being that final option. Hoping have that potential upside with him. But I think it's pretty clear and obvious what they're going to do. At this point, I also think it could be an option potentially. I'm not sure how you have this exactly scaled for their picks, but are you just putting that in the chat and then they're going to respond?
I'm actually just putting a post up on our channel using the post feature. So that should be live right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. If you guys go to the community tab on our channel, you should see the post right there where you should be able to vote. We will be refreshing that often, and then we'll be sharing the results here and then ultimately making the selection on the website. Austin, with your thoughts here now on the Jaguars picking first overall, we know that someone like Chris Sims thinks that he said that he would take Zach Wilson first overall. Do you buy into that at all? Would you even consider taking Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence?
It's kind of tough because, I do see there being a pathway where Zach Wilson could be a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I want to make that clear. But I really, for me personally, I think Trevor Lawrence is the clear and obvious pick. He's got the frame. He has the accolades to go along with it. Very talented prospect, good arm, can throw to all 3 levels of the field consistently. The one throw that he does struggle with is outside the numbers, sometimes hitting that sideline. So that's his one concern. Zach Wilson does a great job extending plays and that stuff. But the problem with Zach Wilson is we saw against that Coastal Carolina game, he did not play particularly well. And that was the one team this year that was, pretty good that he played all season long. Trevor Lawrence playing in that ACC had, a number of good teams that he had to go against consistently. So that's my argument for that. Competition's sake, his frame. I don't know a lot about Zach Wilson from personality, standpoint, but I know Trevor Lawrence is really good between the ears. I think he is a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that honestly, looking at those two, I feel very confident that they're both very good options at this point. Remember, guys, the poll is live right now. If you guys haven't figured out how to do it, let me know in the comments, and we can help direct you to the right point where to go and vote. But I think 1-2 is very strong at this point. Also, let me know if you guys were able to find that. Would like to know. Mike, Khalid, Jer X. I want to make sure you guys are finding the right spot. Nathan Joyner as well. We want to make sure you guys are having your voice heard here on the channel. This is all about you guys today, giving us your picks for the 2021 NFL mock draft. Obviously, the Jaguars are a little bit of a softball here at pick 1, probably with Trevor Lawrence being the selection. But it's still awesome. I want to make sure that you guys are finding out where you can go and vote for that so that your voice is heard for the other 31 picks as well. I think Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be the first overall pick for our viewers here. I would be surprised if he isn't at this point. So we can go ahead and pull this back up here on the channel Also, Austin, are you able to click the comments right now?
I'm going to go ahead and try. I doubt it. Yeah, I'm not able to. Also, kind of a thought here on the process. Maybe we can ask the viewers what they'd rather do. We can do the polls, or we can have it where you just put the pick in the comments section, making it easier so you don't have to go back and forth if you guys do believe that's the way you want to go. And then we'll visually have to just take it in and say, all right, this one just had more. We're not going to have the exact numbers, but I think that makes a lot of sense, just so you don't have to go back and forth if you want to do that. Otherwise, okay, so we do have a couple saying in the comments.
Yeah,
so
that definitely works as well. Yep, that works for us here too. That's a good idea there, Austin. Thank you for pointing that out. Chris, welcome to the stream. Let us know then in the comments right now, who is the pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars here at pick 1? Is Trevor Lawrence the selection? Are they going to go Zach Wilson, Justin Fields? Let us know right now in the comments. We're going to be watching this right now at this point. Khalid says, by the way, you're my favorite YouTubers, and it's not close. That means so much, Khalid.
Thank you.
Hearing those kind words, we are glad to be your favorite YouTubers. It's honestly quite an honor for us. We just hope you keep enjoying the content. It means so much having all the support. Jonas Bayer says, greetings from Germany. Welcome to the stream. Glad having you in here. That's completely awesome and crazy that we have someone from Europe watching live with us right now. Love having you in here.
I want to ask what his favorite team is. I would very, very curious to hear, from Germany, who is the most televised team as well. If they do, how many games a year they get to catch, but just kind of curious on who his favorite team is. And it's looking like Trevor Lawrence is probably the consensus. I think it would almost be fair to go ahead and select it. I don't know if there's going to be enough votes to override that. So I think Trevor Lawrence is a comfortable number 1 pick.
Trevor Lawrence is now off the board. The New York Jets are now on the clock with pick number 2. The New York Jets are on the clock, guys. Go ahead, start putting in your picks for the New York Jets at this point, and we will see who they end up taking in this mock draft. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as we go through. It's a lot of very awesome support from you guys. Khalid says Zach Wilson. Jacob Quarter says Wilson. That's awesome. We already have 2 votes for Zach Wilson at this point. And I would love to hear, Jonas, who you do watch in Germany, like Austin was asking there. Today, Austin and I were actually watching some soccer games from the Premier League and also the Italian League, Serie A. So it's awesome that you guys are able to watch some NFL games overseas as well. Very awesome to hear. So far, it sounds like a lot of Zach Wilson picks, Austin. What would Zach Wilson bring to the New York Jets?
He's a dynamic playmaker, definitely a guy that can extend plays. He has a pretty good arm in addition to his ability to escape in the pocket. I definitely think he brings what the New York Jets need. Obviously, their offensive line has some issues, but you can kind of hide some of those issues with taking a guy like Zach Wilson. Very good pocket presence, knows when to essentially roll out. He doesn't do it too excessively from what I've seen. But overall, I think he's a phenomenal prospect at this point. I think the Jets are getting, arguably a top 5 player in the class as a whole. Some people would agree, some don't. So that's kind of where that split comes in terms of a holistic draft board. But, okay. Jonas says that Jacksonville is his favorite team. I guess that makes sense with how much they play over in London. That's really awesome. Welcome. I'm very happy to have a Jacksonville fan in here as well.
Nathan Joyner here saying Wilson, but just because of the recent hype, not necessarily the second best QB in the draft. That's interesting there, Nathan. I would like to hear who your number 2 QB is overall in this class, assuming you have Trevor Lawrence number 1. Austin, could you break down your top 3 quarterbacks at this point going into the draft?
Yeah, so number 1 is Trevor Lawrence. I've talked a lot about him on the channel. I'm not going to overexhaust everyone on that. I think Zach Wilson, I just gave my breakdown to him. He is my number 2 quarterback. Definitely a player that, I've grown on a little more and more after watching. And then number 3 is an interesting one because you have the options of Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields. I'm going to stick with Justin Fields as my number 3 quarterback. There's a lot of people that even thought after that Clemson game, he could have been the number 1 overall pick. And then, kind of falls back after that national championship game. People really pulled back, and I think people have gotten a little too low on him. I know that there's Justin Fields is the most interesting prospect from the perspective of people really love him or they really hate him. And that's just how it is. But I do believe in the right system, I think he could be, the second best quarterback in this class as well. But I think he has a lot of upside, good tools in the toolkit. Justin Fields is 3.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the thought process that Nathan's following here. You talked about that system that could be really good for Justin Fields. That would be the San Francisco 49ers. And at this point, it does sound like the pick is in here for the New York Jets. Let's go ahead here. With the second overall pick in the NFL draft, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. He goes now to the New York Jets, leaving the San Francisco 49ers here on the clock with pick 3. Who will the San Francisco 49ers select with the third overall pick? This one might be one of the ones where there's a little bit more of a split in which quarterback they go.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we are definitely going to see a split. I think it's going to be Fields or it's going to be Lance. And there could be some Mac Jones supporters out there. I guess we'll have to see. This is going to be interesting. So once again, go make your picks in the comment section below. Who do you want the San Francisco 49ers to take in this mock? Once again, we're doing this under the assumption what we think will happen. So whatever you guys think will happen, we are doing on this channel. Fields is he's the overwhelming pick, which is pretty good. I'm happy to see that myself.
Yeah, Fields is making a run here. Very interesting here real quick. I want to touch on Jonas Bayer's comment here saying the most popular team in Germany is probably New England. That's interesting to hear. Obviously, their recent success over the past 2 decades probably has a little bit of play into that. But thank you for letting us know about that. It's always interesting getting to hear about sports in another country and kind of how they transition for the NFL. Chris's favorite team is the Patriots because he is from New England. That's awesome. Me and Austin actually got to stop in Foxborough and see Gillette Stadium ourselves in person. That was one of our better trips, honestly, I would say. That was a lot of fun seeing that. It's a beautiful stadium, so very lucky for you, Chris, that you get to be right there in New England to see that very often. But like you said, Austin, it does seem like Fields is the overwhelming pick at this point. What's your thoughts on his fit in San Francisco? Would you prefer him or Trey Lance to land there?
For me, I would like Justin Fields there. I definitely would. I do think he has a little bit higher upside than Trey Lance. Trey Lance has a phenomenal and lively arm as well. Had an incredible 2019 season. But San Fran, I think, is best suited for Justin Fields. He can make a lot of those one-read plays as well. Hopefully he develops as, going through his progressions. I really hope that he takes a stride in that because ultimately that is his biggest weakness. At Ohio State, they really played to his strengths and being that one-read quarterback, but that's obviously not going to be viable at the next level. So hopefully he can pick up the decision-making. And, I mean, you're taking a risk with Fields, but the upside is super, super high for him.
Yeah, I definitely think Fields' upside is quite a bit higher than some of the other guys in this class. And I think Chris here is kind of laying out my feelings on this. I think that Mac Jones is a possibility here at 3. I don't necessarily buy into all the rumors, but I wouldn't rule it out either, even though I myself am not high on Mac Jones. He thinks Fields should be the pick, but also maybe Lance. I go back and forth on Fields and Lance here at 3. I think both make a lot of sense for the system. Ultimately, I think Fields is probably the lead candidate at this point, which is exactly what you guys have been laying out. I think you guys are killing it with the picks here, which brings us here into the third overall pick. The pick is in here at this point. With the third overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers select quarterback Justin Fields out of Ohio State. He goes now to the San Francisco 49ers, bringing us to the 4th overall selection. The Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock with pick 4. Austin, your thoughts on Justin Fields officially landing in San Francisco?
Yeah, love the fit. I absolutely think that if Justin Fields went 3, that's his best chance of being a successful quarterback is if he is able to land at 3. That's the best landing spot for any of these quarterbacks in this top 10. I'm going to be honest. I think San Fran has the best infrastructure around at that point to help a quarterback be successful as well. But now we're moving on to number 4, and let's kind of think about what their potential direction might be. I'm not going to give any tipping point of what I think, should be the pick or anything, but kind of looking at Atlanta as a whole, they definitely need a tight end. They definitely need a quarterback to back up, Matt Ryan for a year, and then, maybe move on from Matt Ryan afterwards. So it's going to be interesting to see what they kind of do, where our, comment section might want to go with this, because do you want to take the quarterback or do you want to wait on the quarterback? Because Atlanta will very likely be picking pretty high next year as well. You have an opportunity to take a quarterback, push out that contract another year rather than wasting it on the bench per se. However, the benefits of that are getting to learn behind a true professional in Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and JRX here says, this was the hardest decision for me so far, and this is showing to be true here in the comments. We have a couple votes for Kyle Pitts. We have a few for Penei Sewell as well. At this point, it looks like there are 2 votes for Penei Sewell in the comments. It looks like there are 4 for Kyle Pitts and also 1 for Trey Lance as well. There is so many different options here for the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to let this one stay open a little bit longer here because of how many differences of opinion there can be at this point. We have 20 live viewers at the point. We only had a few votes here on this pick. Make sure you put your comment in the comment section so that your vote can come through for your possibility of saying who could get drafted at this point. And make sure to only put the name in here once per pick so that we don't accidentally count your vote twice. We want to make sure everyone's voice can be heard just with one comment on who they think could be the pick. Chris says, now this is tough. The Falcons can take a QB and Lance, but they need other positions on the field. Trading down could also be a huge possibility, but I feel like you can't pass on Pitts. That sounds like his vote there would be for Kyle Pitts. We
got some more picks as well in the comments, more Pitts. So it's getting closer, guys. Remember, put your picks in the chat. It's really important that we have everybody included in this, just so it's a little more clear and obvious what we need to do.
Yeah, Atlanta is the interesting spot. I had seen one comment say that the draft starts at 4, and in a lot of ways that's true. I think that San Francisco could be looked at as a pivot point, whether it's Trey Lance or Justin Fields, or even if they shocked everybody and did go Mac Jones at 3, I think there's a little bit of a pivot point potential there. But all in all, I think you're right here. Pick 4 is the big starting point for this year's draft. It could be the best offensive lineman, best pass catcher, could be another quarterback. There's so many different ways Atlanta could look. Remember, they lost their 2 starting safeties as well. They need to improve in a lot of different areas on this football team. It'll be interesting to see which way they ultimately do go on draft night. We're going to leave this open up for another minute or 2 yet. If you haven't voted already, make sure to put your vote in here for this pick. Right now, seems like Kyle Pitts is the leading pick at this point. David Figley saying they could trade to 6 to get Lance in a pick. Yeah, I'm not sure if Miami is going to be jumping up or not yet at this point. We're just going to end up doing no trades at this point for this mock draft version, just so that everyone can have their voice heard, because maybe not everyone would want to trade down from pick 4. Maybe they would say, hey, we want to stick at 4 and make sure we get Kyle Pitts, the best player available, and so on. So we're just not going to do trades for this one. Maybe one next week if we find some time to do that. We could set one up with trades. Austin, what's your thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons' potential of moving down from 4?
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure how motivated Miami would be. I think that's a possibility, though. I mean, if they want to pair Gesicki and Kyle Pitts and moving up, or if they feel that, Cincinnati might be taking Sewell and they jump them for that reason, I think that's kind of the reasons they would want to move up, but I don't see it entirely likely. I think Atlanta could be, maybe moving down a little bit further. A team that's not being talked a ton about, potentially moving up. There has been some discussion, but New England, I'm sure, is on the prowl, kind of waiting, kind of sitting back and seeing, how this is going to play out. Maybe they're movers mid-draft if their guy is falling.
Right, yeah, that's where San Francisco's decision is going to pay dividends. Maybe New England prefers one of the other quarterbacks. Say they prefer Trey Lance over Justin Fields or vice versa. Who San Francisco opts for on draft night could impact what teams look to move up and what teams look to move down as well. There is a lot of different potential outcomes here, but at this point, it does sound like the pick is in here at pick number 4 for the Atlanta Falcons. With the 4th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons are opting to select tight end Kyle Pitts out of Florida, arguably the best pass catcher in this year's draft. We'll get into that here in a second. And now with the 5th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals are now on the clock. Let us know in the comments, who is Cincinnati going to take with the top 4 picks already off the board? Austin, your thoughts on Kyle Pitts? Is he the top pass catcher?
I would say it's very close between him and Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase I think he'll have a huge impact. And the same goes for Kyle Pitts as well. But I do think Jamar Chase is the best pass catching prospect. I think Kyle Pitts is phenomenal, though. He's right there. It's kind of 1A, 1B kind of thing, more on preference of what you're looking for your roster. And now it's really interesting here at Cincinnati's pick. Do they go ahead and take a guy like Jamar Chase? I want you to scroll through some of the options so people can see, kind of what they're looking at, and maybe somebody that they're not thinking about that is potentially out there.
Yeah, right. We see Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, probably the 2 top tackles on the board. Also, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle here as well. Devontae Smith, another wide receiver, probably doesn't go top 5, but we'll see who the viewers end up deciding to opt for at this point. I am seeing quite a bit of Penei Sewell at this point. It looks like we do have a count of 5 Penei Sewells and 2 Jamar Chases at this point out of the 7 votes. There are more than 7 people in here, though. Make sure to get your vote in. You could sway who goes 5th overall in this mock draft. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this as well. I'm having a lot of fun seeing who you guys would opt to pick. All year long, you've been seeing our thoughts, who we've been mocking. So it's really awesome getting to see your guys' mock selections here, and we'll see how the board really shapes out, especially once we get out of the top 5. Right now, we're even having a little bit of controversy in some of the players. Once we get to the top 5, top 10, it's going to get even more wide open. Your vote becomes even more important as the picks are really split between each other. Mike Rosen says, with the 17-game schedule, protecting Joe is a top priority. Sewell is the pick. Another vote there for Penei Sewell. Trying to also convince his fellow viewers at the moment to go with Penei Sewell. Maybe this is what an NFL draft room is like. The GM sitting there saying, hey, with a 17-game schedule, we have to protect our number 1 option, our number 1 QB, Joe Burrow. Austin, what do you think a war room really looks like with the GM and the scouts really conversing on who should the pick be, especially, say, for Cincinnati at 5?
Right. I think it starts with the GM kind of, obviously, he's really forming the entire vibe of the NFL draft war room, essentially. And obviously, the input from the scouts is important, but at the end of the day, it really comes up to the general manager. And also, in some situations, the head coach is right there in terms of importance of who they're going to select. Some teams, you could argue it's even the head coach even has a slightly bigger say. That's not a very, very, that's not something that we see all the time. But I think obviously head coach, GM conversing with one another, the scouts are giving their input on what they've seen. But I'm sure it's crazy, right? I think it's absolutely nuts. And the different element that's thrown in there is trying to make trades. So how are you're basically having to convey what the other GM is saying to the rest of your war room. So I think that adds, a very, very interesting dynamic and trying to make that decision as well. It's not just the drafting part. I mean, trading is a huge part of the NFL draft.
Right, it really is. Every team is trying to maximize what they can do in the offseason to put a better product on the field. Jared X says 25 watching. It's gone way up the past few picks. Yes, it has been. You guys have been absolutely killing it with the sport. Make sure to hit that like button and also tell your friends and family about the channel. Let's try and get as many live viewers in here as possible so we can have the best collaborative experience possible. We love working with each and every one of you. You guys are our best subscribers. You have been absolutely killing it with the sport. We appreciate you so much. And Austin, I think you were absolutely nailing it too with the kind of the complexity of the NFL draft. You got the coach, GM, scouts, all these people who are trying to work together. They all obviously have differences of opinions. Last year, we heard about the Eagles having a little bit of a divide in their war room where the scouts preferred Justin Jefferson. The GM ended up opting for Jalen Reagor instead. And obviously that draft pick looks like a missed one there with how good Justin Jefferson was his rookie season. So it's interesting. Not every person in the war room for the team that makes a selection is on board with those picks. You guys have to remember that as well as we go through here. Chris997 says the Bengals need to pick Sewell. They need to get a lineman and generational one at that. A reunion with Chase would be nice, but Sewell is a one-of-a-kind talent. Draft a wide receiver in round 2. Definitely solid input there from Chris, and Joel Stan seems to agree with him, saying you need to protect Joe Burrow as priority numero uno. I would agree with that as well. Austin, it sounds like the pick is in here at pick number 5 at this point. With the 5th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Penei Sewell, offensive tackle out of Oregon. He is now going to be the man protecting Joe Burrow, hopefully helping him recover from that ACL injury he sustained last season. Austin, what's your thoughts on Sewell landing in Cincy?
Penei Sewell gives you a little bit of versatility. You can play him at left. You can play him at right tackle. It really depends on what they want to do with Jonah Williams, who has played pretty well for the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, getting those 2 tackles shirt up is really, really important for the Bengals. You get to replace one of the worst tackles in the league in Bobby Hart. I've been very vocal about, how much of a disservice he's done to that offensive line group. But I think it's a great idea to take Penei Sewell. I think the viewers are kind of on it with who they were prioritizing, right? It was Sewell and Chase, and I think those are the 2 best options for Cincinnati at 5. So you guys were doing a phenomenal job on pinning it down to those 2 guys.
Right. I think those are the 2 players that, since he's going to have a little bit of an internal divide on, some are going to want Jamar Chase to pair him back up with Joe Burrow, and then some are going to say it doesn't do us any good having an elite wide receiver if Joe Burrow's getting hit 100 times a year. You need to keep him upright. Now moving on to the 6th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock here. Is the pick for Miami? Let us know in the comment section. David Figley here with an interesting idea. Miami trading back to 9. Now picking up a second rounder and taking best wide receiver available now. That is an interesting idea there. Remember, we are not doing trades, though, in this mock draft. But thank you still, David, for your input. I can see you're a Miami Dolphins fan, so you know that team better than most, for sure. So we appreciate your input here. Austin, if you're looking at Miami, there's a few different directions that they could go as well here at this point. Tackle is still a big need there. The Isaiah Wilson thing obviously didn't work out. They waived him after trading for him from the Tennessee Titans. They did bring in Will Fuller. Does that impact their draft strategy here on draft night?
I think they still need to take arguably the best player available, and I'm not gonna say who it is because I don't want to affect the pick. But Miami, there is a definite need at wide receiver. Also, they will be looking at edge potentially. On top of it, also that tackle spot could be a place that they're looking. I think for me, I look at the wide receiver as in a position of importance for them, but I'm kind of interested to see what the viewers have to say. So once again, I'm going to say again, go in the comments section below. Let's make that pick. I'm kind of interested to see because I think we're going to have some variation with this one.
Yeah, we're already seeing a little bit of variation. We have at least 2 different answers here for pick 6 for the Miami Dolphins. I'm really having a lot of fun with this, guys, as well. I hope you guys are as well. This has been a lot of fun just seeing who you guys would take. Obviously, we know your guys' names pretty well here. We know who you guys seem to prioritize, and it's really just awesome, seeing everyone's personal preference, what they would do with an NFL franchise. And I hope you guys feel like your voice is heard here at Utility Sports. That's a big part of what we want to do, is not only continue to push out great content that you guys enjoy watching, but build a collaborative platform where you guys feel like you have your voice heard and that you guys are really appreciated, because you guys know a lot about your own teams. You know a lot about the NFL in general and these draft prospects. And we want to make sure that you guys feel appreciated to the level that you should be in terms of what you bring. You guys are absolutely wonderful viewers. And I know that Austin and I feel extremely, extremely grateful to have all the support from you guys that we do. Austin, with your thoughts here with Miami too, it's kind of an interesting situation because they have not only pick 6 here, but also have pick 18. They have pick 35, and they also have another second-round pick that is their own. They have a lot of different options to improve this football team. Do you think that they're one of the teams best positioned for the future?
I think they are. I think Brian Flores has done a really nice job with the team itself. Obviously, they put themselves in a great position from a draft standpoint, getting a lot of draft capital. And now they sit with, like the 3rd most draft capital of all teams currently. And and they have a good roster. The thing with the Jets and the Jags are the roster is, pretty brutal at the moment. So kind of looking at it from that perspective, they are in a great spot, especially with the number of picks that they have in this draft and what they did during the offseason. So I think, kind of looking at what we have in the comments section, it looks like Jamar Chase is the pick at 6.
Yes, he is going to be the selection here. 6th overall, the Miami Dolphins opt to select Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU. And very interesting here, the opt-out still goes top 6 overall. Austin, do you see that playing in effect to other players in this year's class?
Could you repeat that again? You were kind of cutting out during that.
Oh, yeah. So with Jamar Chase having been an opt-out this past year, doesn't seem to have affected his value as much in this year's draft. He's still going in the top 10. Do you think that is going to play a big impact on some of the other prospects this year, though, that have opted out?
Yeah, that's kind of tough because with some of these opt-out guys like Gregory Rousseau, I mean, his stock has taken a hit by being that opt-out. Teams just want to see these guys play. Jay Tufele, another potential first-rounder that could end up sliding to the second, third round. So I think that is kind of playing into effect here. So, but Jamar Chase, I'm happy to see that his value isn't affected. I just think with how dominant he was, I think teams believe that that'll carry over even with that opt-out season.
Right, yeah. I'm a big believer here in Jamar Chase, too. I think the Miami Dolphins are nailing this, grabbing him. He was the guy I would have taken myself. I think you guys killed it with this selection. I think that Tua Tagovailoa needs someone who's going to help across the middle of the field. I like the field stretching options they have in Devontae Parker and Will Fuller. Now I think bringing in a guy like Jamar Chase not only makes this offense good, but great probably moving forward, especially with the other assets that they still have to improve this offseason. They're going to be in a very good situation, and I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be one of the most improved teams this year. Now with the 7th overall pick, the Detroit Lions are on the clock. Make sure you guys are putting your votes in here. I've seen some votes already. It would be awesome for you guys to all put your votes in here. We've got almost 30 viewers live at the moment. We would love to see almost 30 votes then as well. We want to make sure each one of you has your voice heard here in the comment section. And the Detroit Lions, Austin, they seem to be one of the most wide open teams in this draft. They could go a variety of different ways, could look along the defense, could look at the quarterback, wide receiver position as well. I think that they're a team that's going to be very, very fun to watch on draft night. Who are some of the other teams to you that seem to be open books or actually closed books that we don't really know which way they're going to go yet at this point?
Yeah, I think one of them is Miami. I think that's a tough one to kind of figure out exactly where they're going to go. Detroit for sure. I'm kind of interested to see what happens with. Let me kind of look along the line. I think New England's wide open. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go as well. I think Arizona as well. They're definitely a team that's there's a lot of different ways that they can go. Let's kind of get a little early reactions. We're getting some Jalen Waddles in the chat. We got Slater as well. Trey Lance is another one that could be a potential pick here. So a lot of variation in this pick, like I figured it would be.
Yeah, right now we are seeing a big split here. Even Chris Lee saying that a team could possibly look to move up here. Again, we're not doing mock drafts or mock trades here in this mock draft, but I do think this would be a landing spot for a trade as well. Chris Lee, I also had seen earlier that you were excited that Justin Fields landed for your 49ers here in this mock draft. So I'm glad you're enjoying the live stream so far. If you guys are enjoying it, make sure to hit that like button and also be subscribed if you are new to Utility Sports. Also, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our uploads, posting a bunch of NFL content, also some NBA content as well, and probably some more MLB stuff too as the year progresses. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. Dr. Detroit, welcome to the stream. Here he has his input on the Detroit Lions. He wants to see Rashawn Slater be the pick. And so far, there's a little bit of a divide here at this spot, like you were saying, Austin. This is an interesting spot in this year's draft. We will see who ends up going at pick 7 here. We have just about another minute yet at this point. Austin, who does it look like is the lead dog at this point from the comments?
Yeah, for me, I'm seeing a lot of Jalen Waddle. I think Rashawn Slater, made a strong run. Trey Lance as well, but it's looking like Jalen Waddle is going to be the pick for the Lions. I'm kind of curious to hear the community reaction if that is the selection. Make sure once again get that last minute pick in. Make sure you run that card up to the podium because
yes, we got 30 seconds yet. Throw the pick in here. Get your pick up to the podium, like Austin was just saying. And then we will have the pick in here in just half a minute. It is awesome seeing this. I think you guys have been absolutely killing this mock draft so far. I could definitely see this playing out, Austin. So far, this realism does seem to be very possible come draft night. Obviously, there's going to be some loops. That's why you guys need to be subscribed and tuned to our live stream on draft night. But right now, I think that this is a real possibility come draft night. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I think so. I think for sure that Jalen Waddle could be, a very, very good option for Detroit. Obviously, a dynamic playmaker. It's really tough that he had the injury, but it sounds like the medicals are pretty much all cleared up. I think he's good to go. Jalen Waddle, I think, is the selection if you want to go ahead and make it.
Jalen Waddle now goes 7th overall to the Detroit Lions. We move on now to pick number 8 with the Carolina Panthers. Start putting your predictions in here for the Carolina Panthers selection. At this point, we want to continue moving along. You guys have been doing absolutely great. Austin, your thoughts on Jalen Waddle officially landing in Detroit in this mock draft?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need a weapon at the wide receiver position. Obviously, they lost Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay. You have to have a receiver ready to go next season. I mean, you're not going to set up Jared Goff for any amount of success if you don't take a wide receiver within the first 2 rounds or even 3 rounds for that matter. You have to have a guy that's able to step in right away. Jalen Waddle, I think, is a phenomenal fit there. You have to have an ultimate playmaker. They have DeAndre Swift. You add Jalen Waddle to that offense, and you're helping out Jared Goff quite a bit. However, I don't think Jared Goff is the future. You just need to give him a chance at least to kind of show you what he's got.
Right, yeah. This is going to be an interesting situation for the Detroit Lions. They have 2 future first-round picks from the Los Angeles Rams in that trade involving Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. They've got a long-term rebuild ahead of them. Jalen Waddle gives them a chance to see if Jared Goff could be their guy. But at this point, they did not opt for a quarterback. They're going to go wide receiver in this mock draft. Jalen Waddle. Austin, I know who your number 1 wide receiver is in this class. Is Jalen Waddle number 2 for you?
That's tough. It's really tough with Jalen Waddle because I really do like Devontae Smith, but I'm trying to figure out, from a frame perspective, if Devontae Smith at that 175-pound mark, that 6-foot frame, is he going to really work? I don't necessarily know. He was a phenomenal wide receiver at Alabama last year, won the Heisman, obviously. I probably still have Devontae Smith there, and then Waddle 3, followed by Rashad Bateman to kind of give you an idea of where my wideouts are currently sitting. To kind of look at the comment section here, looks like Rashawn Slater is the consensus pick for the most part. Looking through here. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing Rashawn Slater. I think it's fair to make that pick right now.
All right, Austin, if you would like to announce the pick.
With the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft, the Carolina Panthers select Rashawn Slater, tackle, Northwestern, a guy I'm definitely high on. During the season, I had heard his name quite a bit, but at the end of the season is when it really started to pick up. I was really high on Slater after watching my first little film study of him, and finally people are starting to realize what kind of a talent he is at that tackle spot. He's a really, really good pass blocker, and he's pretty good in the run, but obviously not Penei Sewell good in the run. That's why he is the 2nd tackle on the board.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, too, leading up to that. I think you kind of answered it, but is Rashawn Slater your tackle 2, or is there a chance he is tackle 1 in this class?
Yeah, so we have a little bit of time before the draft starts. I think Penei Sewell is my number 1 just with his upside. Rashawn Slater made a really, really big run for me, but it's hard to look beyond the size, athleticism, strength of Penei Sewell.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. I think Penei Sewell is a little bit just more well-rounded, especially what he brings in the run game. And I think that's why it's perfect he landed there in Cincinnati. They brought in the extension for Joe Mixon, but he also has some potential to grow into a very good pass blocker as well. He's got the physical traits you need at that tackle position. I know everyone's been very high on Penei Sewell for over a year now, and he's just continued to back it up with everything we've seen on him. His film is good. His physicals are great. He's going to be a very good tackle in the class. But I think that Rashawn Slater, like you'd mentioned, very, very good in the pass game. I know you had mentioned multiple times on the channel his matchup against Chase Young in college. Austin, can you talk a little bit more about that matchup?
Yeah, so despite Chase Young obviously having the way longer wingspan, he was an explosive athlete on top of it. He really kept him in check all game long, did a phenomenal job keeping his hands inside. And the thing I always talk about tackles is, how far can they push the limit without getting a penalty of holding, right? So, he does a really good job not getting caught up in those penalties like that, but he is so good at pushing the boundaries of a borderline penalty and, just a clean play in general. I think that's what makes him so good. The guy is absolutely phenomenal with his hands. I feel like, I think it's very fair to say he is a top 10 worthy selection. Great job by the viewers at number 8. Now we're going to move on to pick 9. We have the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos kind of sit at an interesting position. They have a need at linebacker and corner, and also potentially quarterback. Some people like Drew Lock, some people don't like Drew Lock. So it really is going to depend on what John Elway is kind of thinking here. So for the Denver Broncos, let me prompt you with this. Do you think they need to take a quarterback?
I think that they need to consider it for sure. And I do have a little bit of a preference for a certain player at this point with how the board has fallen. In a guy I would take, I'm not going to say who it is. I don't want to influence the voters at this point. Make sure you guys do get your votes in here. We are getting pretty close to calling it on Denver at this point. We have about another minute and a half left. Put your vote in, run it up to the podium so that we can see who the pick is going to be number 9 overall here in this mock draft. But I do have a preference for one player at this point. Looking at their team needs, you had mentioned cornerback, linebacker, quarterback. Those are, I think, the 3 key ones as well. We have not seen a quarterback or a cornerback go off the board yet. We have not seen a linebacker go. We've seen 3 QBs go, but there are 2 other ones that are first-round level players. In a lot of people's eyes, I think there's going to be 2 more that probably go during this mock draft at this point. And this roster is going to be interesting to see which way they opt to go with who's on the board. I know that Denver was also interested in Deshaun Watson. Do you think Watson plays at all a factor into this pick?
I don't think so. I just think there's too much legal jumble to really to really make that influence. I'm not exactly sure. You can't really count on him playing for sure next year. We have no idea. So no, he doesn't play any role in this. And kind of looking at what we have right now, it really seems like Trey Lance is going to be the pick. That's something that we have not mocked yet, but I think I could gain some steam towards that in our future mocks.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting way to play out. Obviously, a key part of that was Carolina acquiring Sam Darnold. That took a QB-needy team off the board right in front of Denver. Also, the viewers opting to go wide receiver for Detroit rather than quarterback does let Trey Lance fall a little bit in. And the pick is in now at this point. The Denver Broncos, with the 9th overall pick, will take quarterback Trey Lance out of NDSU. Now the second NDSU QB to go in the first round in the last 5 years, Austin. What's your thoughts on Trey Lance landing 9th overall to the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, Trey Lance to Denver. I think that's very, very interesting. Obviously, it feels like the community has given up on Drew Lock. I think that is very fair to move on from him, or at least give him some competition that year one. I mean, maybe Trey Lance isn't a year one starter. Maybe they'd let him sit behind Lock and give him some time to process the game without throwing him into that fire. But I think for Denver, I can get behind this a little bit. I haven't put too much consideration into them actually going quarterback because I thought there was the bigger need at the corner spot. However, Trey Lance being the pick, community, good job. A little bit of shakeup here. I do like that for Denver.
Yeah, this is definitely a shakeup from what we've seen in our mock draft. We've been looking at a lot of linebackers, corners, but we've also had multiple times where a team traded up to the 4th pick to get Trey Lance. Interesting. I wonder if the viewers would still take Mac Jones had Trey Lance gone. What is quarterback that big of a need for Denver that they'd maybe reach on a guy like Mac Jones at pick 9? That is interesting. But we do have the Dallas Cowboys on the clock now. Make sure you guys are putting in your mock selections for the Dallas Cowboys here at pick 10 overall. You guys have absolutely been killing it through the top 9. Trey Lance was the player I had a preference for. I actually have him ranked as my 3rd quarterback in this class. I think that he's got a lot of rare physical traits that are going to work very well in the NFL. I think he throws the ball effortlessly deep. I think he's got good touch on his ball. And I also think he's a very, very dynamic player with the ball in his hands. I think he runs the ball extremely well, especially under designed runs. I think that's a little bit of a preference point for me over a guy like Justin Fields. I think Fields is good when he scrambles, but I think that Trey Lance is a little bit better of a designed runner of the football. So that's my reasoning on why I have Lance as the 3rd best quarterback in this class. But I do think it is important to note that I do feel there is a significant drop-off between Zach Wilson and also Trey Lance. I think there's a pretty big gap between those two. who I have as my number 2 quarterback and who I have as my number 3 quarterback. Austin, how close are you on Trey Lance to Justin Fields and so on?
I feel it's pretty close. Obviously, with Trey Lance, his 2019 season was outstanding, and it's really unfortunate that he only gets to play one game this year. And not to base everything off of one game, however, I'm going to talk about it. He was absolutely atrocious in that one game. He was brutal. I think he only threw for 142 yards total in that game. And people are very quick to jump on Justin Fields for his games against Indiana and Northwestern. But, I mean, Trey Lance had one game this year, and it was terrible. So I don't want to buy too much into that one game. However, just kind of circling back here, I think it's close between those two. I think Trey Lance has a phenomenal, lively arm. You know, once again, like you said, a very, very good runner. But it's tough because of that one game and not having this year to see. So that makes things a lot more difficult. Now kind of going to the Cowboys pick. What I'm seeing in the chat, Patrick Surtain is going to be the pick. I think that is fate. That's very fair to call that in right now.
Yes, it looks like Patrick Surtain is going to be the selection here. 10th overall, the Dallas Cowboys select Patrick Surtain, cornerback out of Alabama. He goes now the second cornerback from Alabama to be starting in that secondary. Looking at him and Trayvon Diggs. Austin, what's your thoughts on Surtain landing with Dallas?
I like the fit there. You need that man-to-man guy. Him opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Dallas is trying to reconstruct that secondary. Patrick Surtain is arguably the corner number 1. For me personally, it's very close between him and Caleb Farley. But now with the injury to Caleb Farley, it makes it even tougher for me to say that Farley is the corner 1. So kind of reviewing our top 10 here, everybody that is joined, as of late, go ahead and take a look and see what the community has taken. Trevor Lawrence 1, Wilson, Fields, Pitts, Sewell, Chase, Waddle, and then up even higher is Slater, Lance, and now Surtain. Now go ahead. In the next pick here, we have the New York Giants. Go ahead, throw that in the chat. Who do you think it's going to be?
And we are seeing a lot of different opinions here on this New York Giants pick. I think this is the most spread out one at this point. We're seeing a couple of edges getting thrown in there, a linebacker or two, even some wide receivers at this point, despite the Kenny Golladay signing. A lot of people feel very strongly. Slim Jim, let's not spam here, please, so we don't accidentally miscount the votes and get it wrong here on this mock draft. But we do appreciate your passion about the Giants selection here at 11. It's very interesting. Also, I wanted to say welcome, Sit and See, to the stream. I'd seen you got in here. You're one of our best subscribers, so we really love having you in here. I want to make sure you feel appreciated and very welcome into the live stream. Chef Florida Boy, I saw your comment earlier, too, about getting pick 25 right for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I hope that that pick does come in correctly as well. It's very interesting. Austin himself is a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. Austin, what would be your thoughts at 25, kind of with how the board's played out a little bit? Is there a certain preference you'd want to see your team go, offense or defense? Don't give me a specific position so we don't impact it too much.
It's tough. I would really like to see them go offense once again. I would like to see them make a trade up. I think they're in a weird position at 25 where some of these really good players go. However, I think they're going to make it balanced and go defense, but I'm excited to get to that selection. In the chat, once again, we're seeing a lot of Devontae Smith. We've seen some Micah Parsons as well. Kwity Paye is another name being thrown in there. So, I mean, from what I'm seeing, it's very close between Parsons and Smith.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like it's coming down to. We're going to give it another minute yet. Guys, make sure that you put your vote in if you haven't already. Please don't spam, though. We have seen each one of your votes. We'll be clicking through them so you guys can be up on the stream for YouTube to see. Slim Jim here talking about Parsons' behavior problems. Yeah, those there is some concerns about his character. However, his football talent is unquestioned. He's very, very good in the open field. He would bring a lot of nice football to New York. He'd be a great compliment to Blake Martinez, in my opinion. Just about 15 more seconds here, guys, and then we will be announcing the pick. Austin, if you wanted to go into the private chat part here and message me who you think it is so we don't spoil it, and then we can announce it live at this point for pick 11 for the New York Giants. Okay, here we are. The pick is in here. With the 11th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select wide receiver Devontae Smith out of Alabama. He beats out Micah Parsons by a hair here, and the Giants find another wide receiver to complement Kenny Golladay. I wonder, does this mean Darius Slayton is moving out of the starting role, allowing Sterling Shepard to stay in the slot? Austin, what's your thoughts on Smith's fit in New York?
Yeah, for Devontae Smith, having him and Kenny Golladay would be a really nice pairing at the wide receiver spot. Sterling Shepard is going to be the slot for them. Therefore, Darius Slayton is kicked out of that starting role. He's going to be that fourth receiver for them. So very, very close. But now we have Philly's pick. Let's move on to 12. Go ahead and put it in the chat. Do you want Micah Parsons? Do you want there's a lot of different ways you can go. It's unfortunate that Devontae Smith went right before you. Rashad Bateman's another name to keep in mind as well. So go ahead and make your selections.
Khalid has said, I know you wanted Micah Parsons there in New York. I think he would have been a great fit as well. And if I was the New York Giants, I probably would have taken a long look at Micah Parsons, and it would have been a hard time for me to pass it up. I think his fit next to Blake Martinez would have been excellent. Austin, would you have preferred Micah Parsons or Devontae Smith there at 11?
Me personally, I would have probably preferred Parsons there, but I do understand wanting Devontae Smith in New York. I do totally get it, but I would have had a slight preference towards Parsons. But this is what makes it fun. A lot of variation, a lot of differing opinions. So kind of looking at the early part of this, we're seeing a lot of Parsons once again. J.C. Horn is another potential option. Twice has been said in the chat. Waddle is not here anymore. Just to answer that question. So it's looking, wow, J.C. Horn has made a big push here. But Micah Parsons could be the pick.
Yeah, right now Parsons seems to have a slight lead. We're going to have about another minute and a half or 2 minutes here to get your picks in. If you haven't voted already, remember, guys, we can see your names when you're voting, so don't spam because we can see when you vote twice. We don't want to impact the other votes by having too many votes going in that aren't being listened to. Didn't see here votes for J.C. Horn. That is another J.C. Horn vote. Pretty close here between Micah Parsons and J.C. Horn. Try and get your picks in as soon as possible here. We have about another minute or so on the clock. Yet another pick for J.C. Horn is getting very close here at this point. We will see who it ends up being. Austin here in about 30 seconds. If you want to send me another private chat so we can make sure we're in agreement on who the pick is, and then I'll have you announce it in just a minute after the alarm. Very close. Make sure you guys get your picks in. This is the last second opportunity for this. Since we are not doing trades in this mock draft just because it's a little too hard to coordinate with the viewers, making sure you guys all want to trade down. And then we'd have to have an agreement on who wants to trade up to get that pick and so on. I think it would just be a little too complex and a little too difficult to really coordinate over YouTube at this point, over the live stream. Hopefully that does make some sense. Maybe we could find a way to make that work in the future, though, at that point. Anyone else with any thoughts at this point? Austin, I'm going to be sending you this here. I think that's the way we should go. What do you think?
Yep, I think that is who narrowly edged it out. Go ahead.
All right, the pick is in here. With the 12th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles are opting to select linebacker Micah Parsons out of Penn State. He is the selection here, just narrowly out-edging J.C. Horn by a pick or two. And Philadelphia, for the first time in a while, take a linebacker in round one. Austin, break down what does Micah Parsons bring to this Eagles team?
Supreme athlete. He is like a missile going through from that second level. He can blitz. He's a guy that used to play defensive end. He's at that linebacker spot now, but he's an absolute athletic freak. Definitely a guy that I want on that second level of my defense. I think this is a phenomenal pick for Philly. I love the fit there too. Philadelphia is getting a really good one in the middle of that defense.
Yeah, I really like what Micah Parsons brings. He's actually not my linebacker one. Surprisingly, Austin, I've actually shifted around my rankings a little bit. He is just narrowly my linebacker 2, just a step behind another linebacker in this class. But I think that he does have a real legitimate shot at being a top 15 pick. I think he's well worth a top 15 pick. I just think I'm generally higher on the other player than others seem to be. We'll see who the LA Chargers here take at pick 13. We have a lot of votes coming in now at this point, and it looks like it's going to be another close race between two players here. Seeing a lot of Christian Darrisaw, the Virginia Tech Hokie, and we're also seeing a lot of J.C. Horn, the South Carolina Gamecock, Austin. Who does it look like has the edge at this point in the votes?
Right now, after you just went on that, we've seen 4 consecutive Darrisaws. It looks like Darrisaw is in the lead. So if you're a Horn supporter, get that in the chat. Let's see if we can narrow the gap a little bit. Christian Darrisaw is looking more and more like the selection as we go. People want to tackle in LA for the Chargers. I think we can announce it right now. I think it's already gotten to that point where that looks like the pick to me.
With the 13th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers to select Christian Darrisaw, tackle out of Virginia Tech. It looks like it was a runaway down the stretch there. Christian Darrisaw goes to Los Angeles, and I think this is a great pick for the Chargers. With the pick 14 now, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. You guys can go ahead and start putting in your selections there for the Minnesota Vikings. Austin, your thoughts on Darrisaw landing in Los Angeles?
I love that for the Chargers. They definitely need a tackle. You have to look at that left tackle spot. Christian Darrisaw did a pretty good job at being the tackle for Virginia Tech. I think he offers some good pass blocking upside. I think that is what he is better at from the film I've watched on him. So for the Minnesota Vikings now, let's move on to their pick. Obviously, they have a potential need at safety with Xavier Woods being a one-year deal for them. Obviously, they lost Anthony Harris. That could be a positional need. Could look at that corner spot as well with the whole Jeff Gladney news. It's very possible that he doesn't play football anymore. So that's a very, very big storyline going into this draft. And also along the offensive line, whether you feel it's tackle or an interior offensive lineman, very, very close here for the Minnesota Vikings. Let's take a look at the early results so far. Seeing quite a bit of Vera Tucker, seeing some J.C. Horn, Kwity Paye is another option. Also, we saw Gregory Rousseau. So right now, Vera Tucker is in the lead, but there is still some time for you guys to make your picks. We do appreciate you getting it in early for us.
Yep, and make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button. Also, turn on the notification bell if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of our content here at Utility Sports. We love working with you guys. We're hoping to get a little bit more of a consistent live streaming schedule too. Austin and I have just been pretty crazy busy lately, so we're trying to open up our schedule a little bit more, try and find some more time to do this collaboration with you. We love really working with you guys. You are absolutely awesome to talk to. You guys know a lot about football, and it just shows in this mock draft how accurate, how precise you guys are being, how much homework you guys have done on these prospects. You guys have absolutely been killing it, so it's awesome seeing it so far at this point. It does look Elijah Vera Tucker is still in the lead at this point. Kwity Paye has some support. J.C. Horn has some support. If you guys want to get your vote in, make sure to put it in right now so you don't miss out on having your voice heard here on the channel. With pick number 14, who will the Minnesota Vikings be taking? Put in your vote right now. We have 15 seconds left at this point. Austin, I will have you announce it after the draft sound here. That is who I think is the selection at this point based on the lead. Is that who you are in agreement with as well?
Yep, it is.
All right. The pick is in here.
Waiting for the draft sound to cue.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
With the 14th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings will select Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, a guy that offers a lot of versatility along that offensive line. He can play tackle. He can play guard. This is something the Minnesota Vikings are keying in on because of Ezra Cleveland's ability to play that guard spot, which they had originally drafted him as a tackle. Now he's slotted into that guard spot as the last season had progressed. He did a phenomenal job there. So now you go ahead and make a decision and take arguably the most versatile lineman in the class. So Now we're moving on to pick 15, New England. Go ahead and throw that in the chat. Let us know who is going to be the pick for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that you had mentioned at the top of the show, Austin, as being a very wide open situation for them. They could look a variety of different ways, especially post Julian Edelman retirement. Wide receiver, I still think, is a little bit of a need for them. We're seeing a lot of Mac Jones at this point, though. Quarterback is listed as their number one need here on this site. Mac Jones does look like he is running away with this vote here. We will leave it open for just another minute. So if you guys want to make a run at another player, that is possible. Chris, Micah Parsons is off the board, by the way. I just want to make sure you see that. He did go 12 overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. But thanks for putting it in here anyway. Chris, we love having you guys, all your support. 40 of you in here. Let's all hit that like button, see how many likes we can get on this live stream. It means so much having all your support. And Austin, it sounds like the pick is in here if you want to make the selection post-draft sound.
With the 15th pick in the NFL draft, the New England Patriots are selecting Mac Jones, quarterback out of Alabama. Mac Jones is definitely a player that has a little scrutiny behind him. There's a lot of people that feel very strongly that he won't be a great pro. I think it's very, very clear and obvious that, he's not a superb athlete. That's something that is in consideration here. But he was extremely accurate in college. He had great weapons around him, but you have to give him credit for how accurate he was at Alabama. Was known as a true leader in the locker room. Definitely a guy that you can really rally behind. So Mac Jones being the pick, not super surprising. You guys were almost all in agreement on that. A lot of people were saying Mac Jones in the chat. We're moving on to 16. Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. A number of different ways that they can go. Like I had said prior, I think Arizona's kind of an interesting spot. There's not a clear place I think that they're going to go. So go ahead and put it in the chat.
Yeah, we've seen a couple different players. I think that would make some sense here for Arizona. Also interesting enough, they added James Conner this past week. Do you think that plays into what they're looking for in round one, Austin?
Yeah, I don't think that they were going to take a running back period in the first round. I think they were targeting something outside of that. But now I think it's even less likely that they do somehow take a running back. So at this point, I think it's pretty wide open. I think corner is going to be where they're going. A lot of people are putting J.C. Horn in the chat. I've seen a Caleb Farley as well. So looks like J.C. Horn. I think we can even run that to the podium.
All right, the pick is in here. And with the 16th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select J.C. Horn, the South Carolina Gamecock, finally goes off the board. I know a lot of you have been wanting him to go for quite some time now at this point. He lands in Arizona. I think this is a great situation for both J.C. Horn and the Arizona Cardinals. They badly need a cornerback. Now, one concern is J.C. Horn is a little grabby, Austin. What's your thoughts about J.C. Horn, his adjustment to the NFL?
Yeah, so it's going to take a lot of, obviously working on not being so grabby. He's super physical. That's something you got to like about J.C. Horn, but he's also a really good athlete. That's something that's not been brought up. I think he's a very, very good athlete, and that kind of pops on film to me personally. I think J.C. Horn is going to be a really good pick for Arizona, who's trying to, rework that secondary a little bit. They have Byron Murphy. Now you add J.C. Horn into the mix. And for the people asking, it is a one-round mock. This is just a one round. It's very possible that we open it up to 2 rounds in some, future stream. It is just a one-round mock today.
Yes, and now moving on, we have the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock. Let us know in the comments, who will the Las Vegas Raiders select here? We're going to be doing a little bit of housekeeping here at this point, looking through the positions just so everyone can be up to date on who is all available at this point. You see the quarterback positions thinned out a little bit. All the running backs are still on the board. Wide receivers been thinned out a little bit. We got the tight ends here. We're looking at the offensive tackle situation, the interior offensive line. This is how the offensive side of the ball playing out at this point. Make sure you guys are catching these so you know who is and who is not on the board yet at this point, as we have just passed the midway point of the first round with the Arizona Cardinals. Here at this point, this is the edges available. The linebacker room is right here. The cornerback still on the board at this point, and also the safeties here at this point as well. Those are the available players as we're looking at who is coming through. Let me also update the banner here for the second half of the first round. We got the Raiders at pick 17, followed by the Dolphins, Washington, Bears, and so on. That is on the bottom of your ticker, so you can prepare who you want to vote for all these upcoming picks. At this point, it seems like we're seeing a majority of Kwity Paye as well at this point. Also, a little bit of Tevin Jenkins, it seems. Owusu Koromoa gets a vote. Very interesting here. We have a 4-3-2 lead for Kwity Paye. Thank you, Cincy, for keeping count. You've been absolutely killing it with that. It makes it a lot easier for us, too, having you do the counting like that. Austin, looking at Las Vegas here, does Kwity Paye make some sense if he ends up being the pick?
Yeah, I think he definitely makes a lot of sense for them. Obviously, Kwity Paye is going to be the selection, I believe, for the Raiders at this point. That's kind of the consensus that we are seeing in the chat. But all of a sudden, now we just got another Jenkins pick. So now that, I believe, ties it up for Jenkins and Kwity Paye. So now we have to wait. Somebody's got to break that tie for us. To be quite frank with you, we just need one more person to kind of be that tipping point on the scale for us.
Yeah, we have 36 live viewers. We will see who it is. Oh, Sid and T, actually, it sounds like the 2 was for Tevin Jenkins before. So it does look like Paye is still in the lead. And Mike Rosen comes in and says Paye as well at this point. So it does look like Kwity Paye is the lead dog here. With the 17th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Kwity Paye. And if I'm not mistaken, he is the first edge off the board here in this mock draft. Austin, what's your thoughts on the edge position? I know that you're kind of back and forth on it yourself.
Yeah, it's really tough. I like some of these edge guys. I just don't think it's as strong as years past. I definitely think that there's going to be some value here at the back half of this first round to get some of these nice edge rushers. Gregory Rousseau was thought to be, a top 10 lock at one point, but it's weird because nothing changed from that time to now except for him just not playing. And all of a sudden he's falling into potentially the second round territory. So that makes things a little interesting. Kwity Paye, one of the most athletic edges in the class, definitely has some pass rushing potential. He's very well could be a double-digit sack guy on top of it. So I like that pick for the Raiders. They definitely need some pass rushing help. Arden Key got waived this week, and Maurice Hurst also got waived this week. They're looking to rebuild that defensive line. Also, something noteworthy that they had was of Yannick Ngakoue signing there.
Yeah, definitely. And Yannick Ngakoue came in. I did like that a lot for Las Vegas. They've completely retooled this roster, made a lot of moves along their offensive line, also made a lot of moves along their defensive line, and they still got a lot of needs in that secondary and along that linebacking group. It's kind of an open door there for Las Vegas. I think that they're one of the other teams that's going to be very hard to predict accurately. At pick 17, I think Kwity Paye does make a lot of sense. But at this point, I would not be surprised if they shocked everybody and went in a way that no one really is predicting at this point. I think Owusu Koromoa would make some sense there. But there's just a lot of different options for Las Vegas, and we'll see which way they opt to go on draft night. At this point, it does look like there's a little bit of a runaway. We will give it just one more minute here on the draft for this pick here at pick 18, the Miami Dolphins. Remember, these are the picks that have happened already. We will go through them real quick. Pick number 1, Trevor Lawrence, followed by Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. Kyle Pitts goes 4th overall to Atlanta. Sewell follows up at 5. Jamar Chase 6 to the Miami Dolphins. Jalen Waddle, Rashawn Slater, Trey Lance, and Patrick Surtain round out the top 10. Devontae Smith in a close battle lands in New York at pick 11. Parsons is the pick at 12. Christian Darrisaw lands at 13. The Vikings go offensive line with Elijah Vera Tucker. Mac Jones goes 15th overall. 16th is J.C. Horn to the Cardinals. 17th is Kwity Paye, leading us to where we are now with the Miami Dolphins. And at this point, it is looking like the pick is in here, Austin, if you want to go ahead and make the selection.
With the 18th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Phillips, the edge out of Miami. For me personally, I really like Jalen Phillips' game. I think he's probably the most well-rounded player at the edge spots in terms of his ability to rush the passer, also to defend against the run. He's really impressive against the run, does a phenomenal job staying home as well, very disciplined player in the trenches. He was a UCLA transfer to Miami. He was, I believe, the first overall 24/7 Sports prospect coming out of high school for his respective class. So he was able to really turn things around in Miami and was a stud this year. So I love that selection for the Miami Dolphins. I think that makes a lot of sense. You guys absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that him staying in Miami does make the most sense there. The Miami Dolphins have really improved in a lot of areas already in this first round. They got Jamar Chase, 6th overall. Then they go out and get arguably the best edge in the class, Jalen Phillips. We see back-to-back edges go 17th and 18th overall. And Jalen Phillips, like you said, he's going to be really impactful in the run game, and I like what he brings to the Miami Dolphins here. Now at this point, let us know. Pick number 19, the Washington football team's on the clock. They're another team. They could look a variety of different ways. Let us know who you think they are going to go with. Looks like we have a few different options already at this point, Austin. We're seeing some Tevin Jenkins, some Rashad Bateman, a little bit of Owusu Koromoa as well. Right now there's a 3-2 lead for Tevin Jenkins over Rashad Bateman. It seems like interesting here. 3-2-1 to Sin. Thank you, Sin, again for keeping count like that. It's been very helpful for us. Also, hit that like button if you guys haven't already. Taking a look at who else is on the board here, Austin. Offensive tackle, it kind of thins out a little bit after Tevin Jenkins. I think you and I would agree there's a little bit of a drop-off between Jenkins and the next batch of tackles. And then as well, looking at the linebacker spot, I think Owusu Koromoa is a very good option as well. So this is a pretty strong point for Washington. They've got two really good options here. I also think Rashad Bateman's a very good wide receiver. I'm very, very interested to see which way this one lands, Austin. If you want to send a private chat here to see who would be the pick at this point, it's very close, I feel, at this point. Okay, that's what I was thinking as well. Here, it does sound like the pick is in here at pick 19. With the 19th overall pick, the Washington football team selects offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. And he was very impressive in his matchup against the Texas Longhorns this year. He dominated Joseph Osai in that game. Austin, what's your thoughts on Tevin Jenkins?
Yeah, like you said, when you throw on that film against Texas, he was very, very good against Joseph Osai. Definitely a tackle that's gained some traction. I think he was a guy that a lot of people thought in that kind of 30s to early 40s potentially, but he has really played himself into, a top 20 selection. So at this point, I think Tevin Jenkins is a really, really good pick at 19. Washington desperately needs a tackle.
Yeah, they definitely do, and he's going to be a nice building block for them. He's going to survive probably the other QBs on that roster. Ryan Fitzpatrick only going to be there for 1 year. I don't think Taylor Heineke is really a long-term guy for them. So it sounds like they're going to look for the offensive tackle of the future, and they'll find that in Tevin Jenkins, and then they'll figure out the quarterback situation later. Also, very interesting, they brought in Curtis Samuel this offseason. They could use some help on that linebacker room as well. But all in all, I think Washington has really positioned themselves long-term for a good future at this point. We'll see who the Chicago Bears go with pick 20. Right now, it does look like a 2-2 split at this point. They do have a need on that offensive line. Could use a wide receiver and also could use a cornerback. We see a 2-2 split at this point between Rashad Bateman and Greg Newsome. Very interesting to see how this kind of plays out as we go down the stretch. Austin, out of the top 19 picks so far, who do you think has to be considered one of the biggest winners?
Out of the biggest winners at this point, if you want to scroll down a little bit, there's a couple. I feel like Carolina's kind of a winner there at 8, getting Rashawn Slater. I really love his game, obviously. Kind of looking a little further, I really like Philadelphia getting Micah Parsons as well. I think for New England's sake, if they believe Mac Jones is the future, him going to 15 would be pretty good for them as well. Kind of looking at the chat once again, 3-3 it sounds like between Bateman and Newsome. Once again, guys, do what you can and throw it in the chat as well. Who do you think will be the pick for the Chicago Bears? The Bears are kind of in a weird position. Now we do have Newsome narrowly edging out Rashad Bateman at this point. We'll give it a little more time. Thank you again for Jacob for being the counter for us. I'm having a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, and Dimes here says he thinks the Broncos are the winner at this point. Yeah, let us know in the comments right now, too. Who do you think is the biggest winner at this point? You guys have been absolutely killing it with this mock draft. Love all the support. and love all the takes you guys have given so far. You've been absolutely killing it. Mike Averhart here says that he thinks the Bears need to take a tackle at 20. I do think tackle is a big need. We'll see which way Chicago does go on draft night. Jacob Quarter says he thinks the Jets are a big-time winner at this point as well. I think grabbing Zach Wilson at 2 is a good consolation prize. You know, a little bit of bum that we're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. That's been a little bit of salt in the wound now for a few months at this point. Austin obviously lucky enough to see his franchise probably land Trevor Lawrence. It'd be absolutely shocking if they don't. But at this point, it does look like there is a slight lead for Rashad Bateman at pick 20. We're going to leave it open for another 20 seconds here. If you haven't voted, get your vote in there. You could sway it from Rashad Bateman to Greg Newsome if that's what you want to do, or you could help secure Rashad Bateman as the pick. We've got about 10 seconds left. Let us know in the comments what the pick is going to be.
Yeah, I think it looks like Rashad Bateman is going to be the pick here. Yep, we can go ahead and mark that one on.
Great. There we are. So with the 20th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears do opt to select wide receiver Rashad Bateman out of the University of Minnesota. And this is a player I am extremely, extremely high on at this point. I really like what they bring. What he brings to the table. I actually have him ranked as my number 3 wide receiver in this class, which might be a little shocking because I know a lot of people look at it as Chase, Waddle, and Smith as the top 3 consensus. I don't see it that same way. I think Rashad Bateman is a top 3 wide receiver in this class. I think he's a little similar to Justin Jefferson, what his impact's going to be in the NFL. I think he's great after the catch. I think he's great off the line of scrimmage. Austin, I know you're a big fan of Rashad Bateman as well. Break down what else he brings to the NFL.
Yeah, so I'm very close on that wide receiver 3. I think it's very possible that he's better than Devontae Smith potentially. I think people just he doesn't get the recognition obviously because he was a partial opt out this year. There was a lot of struggles with the entire Minnesota offense. Then there was so much going on at the University of Minnesota for him, but had he opted out the entire year, it's very possible he would have been a top 15 pick as a lock. I think he's absolutely phenomenal talent. His double moves is arguably the best in the class. Definitely a guy that can really take the top off the defense, and he ran really, really well at his pro day as well. So now we have the Colts on the clock here at 21. So go ahead and make your picks in the chat.
Let us know who the Colts will be taking at pick 21. Very interesting at this point. I do think that you guys have been killing it in a lot of regards. I think Rashad Bateman landing in Chicago with Allen Robinson for years is going to be tough for any team to match up with, really. You have 2 really good receivers there then in Chicago. And also Rashad Bateman's obviously going to be the long-term replacement to Allen Robinson. Just doesn't want to be there in Chicago, it sounds like. We'll see which way the Indianapolis Colts go at pick 21. We are seeing a vote for Caleb Farley at this point, also a vote for Newsome as well. It does look like it is Farley is up 2-1 right now at this point. We'll see which way the Colts end up going. Austin, the Colts are in an interesting spot. They could obviously use an offensive tackle to fill in that left tackle need, assuming Costanzo is officially done there. Also could use a wide receiver probably to help out Carson Wentz. But it does look like the viewers are preferring to go cornerback at this point. Do you think that there's good reason to do so, or do you think that they should look offense?
It's very tough. I mean, I think they do need to look. They have to look at that tackle position very closely. Obviously, I think the Indianapolis Colts love building their offensive line. I think they're going to really look long and hard at that offensive tackle position. However, I think from the comments, it's looking like Caleb Farley is going to be the pick. I think we can run that one up to the podium.
Here we are now. The pick is in, Austin, if you want to announce it.
With the 21st overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts will select Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech University. He's definitely a corner that has some high upside, really fluid in the hips. He is so good with the ball in the air. Definitely a guy that is new to the position as well. He's not played, I think he's only played corner for 3 total years now of his life. So Caleb Farley being the selection, I love that for the Indianapolis Colts. He was an opt-out, So that's part of the reason why he could partially be falling, and the other reason is his new discovered injury that he has.
Right, that injury does look like it did play a little bit of a factor in him falling to 21. In our mock drafts earlier on in the year, we were seeing him even go as high as pick 8, maybe pick 9. He slides down to 21 here now to the Indianapolis Colts. I think that does make still a lot of sense. They grab a cornerback with a lot of ball skills. Austin, what else does Caleb Farley bring from that cornerback position besides potential?
Yeah, for him personally, he does a really great job breaking on inward routes. He is phenomenal at reading that, really jumping everything that's in front of him. So in a zone scheme where he's asked to play off a little bit, he's going to really thrive as well. I think that's something that we need to make note of. And now with the 22nd pick here, we have the Tennessee Titans. So go ahead and make your picks in the chat.
Yeah, I think you killed it there, Austin, with your analysis on Farley. I think looking at them, there's a big philosophical difference in what you're looking for at cornerback between Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain. Surtain, obviously, kind of more of the bump and run physical. He's going to press you off the line of scrimmage, and Caleb Farley going to use his eyes more, going to go get the football when it's up in the air. Which cornerback would you rather have for the future?
It's really tough because I think the upside is higher with Caleb Farley. However, I don't know how this injury is going to play. But the problem is there's so many times where this whole injury thing before the draft sinks some players. We see this with all sports, and then they end up just being a really, really talented player after they get past all that injury stuff. So I have a slight preference towards Caleb Farley right now. And it's tough because J.C. Horn's really been gaining some traction too with me. I think all three of the corners are phenomenal, but I have the slight preference towards Farley.
So Farley is your cornerback one at this point, just for an edge who you would want long-term. Obviously, I think that you and I agree that Patrick Surtain is going to be the first one off the board. I do have a preference for Farley to what he provides when the ball's in the air as a playmaker of the football. At this point, it does look like another cornerback is leading the way. And at this point, I think we can even call it now at this point with the pick being in here now for the Tennessee Titans. And the pick is in. With the 22nd overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern. He goes off the board now, and he is very young. He, I believe, is the youngest cornerback in this year's draft class, and I think that he has a lot of potential to grow. And we're seeing the Titans fill in a position of need after their recent moves this offseason, where they moved on from all three of their starting cornerbacks. Austin, what's your thoughts on Newsome landing in Tennessee?
Yeah, so I really want to kind of key in on the Tennessee Titans as a whole. Obviously, Malcolm Butler being cut, it's tough because they have a lot of need in that secondary. Obviously, Dory Jackson out the door as well. So you have to replace that, and it's really hard to see them not take a corner. Great job by our viewers with getting this one right. Right,
I think so as well. Tyrese Mitchell here saying Titans got a cornerback last year, referring to Christian Fulton, and they also got Janoris Jenkins. I'm sorry, those two players are just not going to get the job done there for you if you're Tennessee. Looking at what you have to face in that division, going up against the Indianapolis Colts, who just brought in a quarterback, you're going to have to face the Jaguars, who are bringing in Trevor Lawrence this offseason, and then also having to go up against the Houston Texans. I know that they're not a very good team all in all, but you still have to face Deshaun Watson twice a year. You don't want to give him any easy matchups. They need to improve at the cornerback spot. Also, wide receiver is a big need for them after losing Corey Davis. A.J. Brown's really the only lead guy there. They don't really have another quality pass catcher, especially after losing out on Adam Humphries as well this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see which way Tennessee does go, but I think that you guys did get it right going cornerback here, Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern. Now we got 23. The New York Jets are on the clock. Remember, they grabbed Zach Wilson second overall in this mock draft. You guys have been absolutely killing it. We'll see which way they opt to go at 23 now at this point. Austin, if you're the New York Jets, are you looking offense again, or are you going to go and try and build up this defense a little bit more?
Yeah, I think the defense definitely needs some work. Obviously, I think Robert Saleh is going to feel the same way. Obviously, defensive-minded head coach, really going to look to add a foundational piece with pick 23. Gregory Rousseau is a name I'm seeing in the chat. I'm also seeing Najee Harris. So go ahead and put it in the chat what you think the pick will be. I'm really excited to see because there is going to be some conflict on this selection.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing 3 votes for Najee already, 2 votes for Gregory Rousseau. So we'll see who ends up being the selection here. There's still plenty of time for you guys to get your vote in at this point. We'd love to hear who you think is going to be the selection going forward. There's still plenty of time. We're going to do about another minute 15 here at this point to get the vote in for the New York Jets, who you think the selection is going to be. One name that's surprising me at this point is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's still on the board. He is a player I am very fond of. I don't know how you feel exactly about Owusu-Koramoah, but we've seen him slide past some teams where I thought maybe that would be the landing spot. What's your thoughts on Owusu-Koramoah now with where he's at on the board?
Well, I mean, I think he's a top 15 player in this class. I mean, him and Micah Parsons are very close for me personally. I do have a slight preference towards Micah Parsons, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he's the ultimate gamer, was a great leader for that Notre Dame defense. He is so good at tackling guys in open field as well. I mean, he is a really good player to add to that second level. I'm surprised he hasn't gone yet. However, that's what happens. Some of these guys will slide, and I think the community will probably have him go pretty quick. It doesn't look like it's going to be this pick either.
Yep, it doesn't look like he's going here, and that's kind of the issue with linebackers. Some teams just don't have that need as big as they have needs on the outside positions like cornerback, wide receiver. Those are the last three picks we've seen have been two corners and a wideout. Can definitely understand the reasoning on why some of those teams would not go with a linebacker. Kieran here saying, everyone hit that like button. Yes, that would mean so much to us if we could get that support. And it does seem like the pick is in here, Austin, if you want to announce it at this point.
With the 23rd overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Jets are selecting Najee Harris, running back, Alabama. We have our very first running back go off the board. Definitely, he is a very talented runner. He has power. He has finesse. Almost a complete package for a running back. And he really kind of pulled away as that RB1. It was thought to be Travis Etienne at one time. I think Najee Harris has kind of solidified that RB1 status.
Yeah, definitely. I think so as well. He's really emerged. I thought personally, and I think many thought as well, that Travis Etienne going into this year would have probably been the first running back off the board. However, he just didn't really follow up his great 2019 campaign with another great season. He struggled a little bit, took a step back, and I think Najee Harris did cement himself as the number one running back. I think they got this pick right again, to be honest. I think Najee Harris is a very good selection for the New York Jets. Now, maybe I would have had a little bit of a preference to go on the defensive side of the football, but at the same time, I think Najee Harris makes us a lot better at a real position of need. Right now, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers picking 24th. Make sure you get your votes in the comment section. We are at pick 24, coming into that 75% mark here on this mock draft. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Love all the comments you guys have been leaving. You've been very knowledgeable about your picks with very good reasoning, so it's awesome to hear your guys' thought process on who the pick should be at each spot. It's been very awesome to see. At this point, it looks like we're seeing some Samuel Cosmi. We see an Eric Stokes pick here. Austin, Eric Stokes is an interesting prospect. Ran a very good 40 time. I'm sure that plays a little bit into why Kyron wants him to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. What's your thoughts on Eric Stokes as a potential pro?
Yeah, so I got to be a little careful here. I don't want to influence the pick, but obviously blazing speed. He was a little inconsistent in coverage. I think he slots more into a man system, which I think obviously any time you can get a corner with this kind of speed is worth spending a first-round pick on, especially, end of the first round. You can feel a little more comfortable doing so. But, I mean, he wasn't phenomenal in coverage this year. However, it's worthy of trying to develop a player like him. So I'm seeing Samuel Cosmi. You can go ahead and announce that.
Yeah, with the 24th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to take tackle Samuel Cosmi out of the University of Texas. And I think this is a good selection there for Pittsburgh. They've got some question marks for the long-term future. They lost James Conner to Arizona. Ben Roethlisberger, I just don't see he's going to be their long-term as the long-term guy for them. He's getting up there in age. He's probably going to play one, maybe two more seasons and then probably hang it up. At this point, Pittsburgh has to look for pieces that are going to be their long-term. Samuel Cosmi going to be the long-term tackle. You figure out the skill positions later. They have a good track record of finding wide receivers from rounds 2 through 7, and I think that they'll continue to do that. with this, you're probably looking for a wideout in the later rounds. Now we have at pick 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. We will see who they go with. Obviously, they took Trevor Lawrence first overall. Austin, Jacksonville is on the clock here. Do you like what's still on the board at this point? Do you think that there are some good pieces that you guys could add to this team?
Yeah, there's some really, really interesting players. I think one in particular really sticks out to me in who I hope the community drafts, but I'm kind of interested to see how this all plays out. Jacksonville's kind of at this weird point in the draft where a couple of nice players available, but there is one in particular I think that the community is going to go with. I'm very, very curious to hear on who they want. Is there anyone that sticks out to you? You don't have to say the name, but is there anybody that's just clear and obvious for you?
I don't think there's a clear and obvious single player. I think that there's two players that I would think based off of fit that I would really look at, and then also just one player that just sticks out to me in general, not necessarily based off fit that I would really look at. But I do think there's a lot of good options here that kind of goes to show how strong this class can be, especially with some of the depth at some of these positions. There's some really good players here at 25 that the Jacksonville Jaguars can be able to load up a couple positions at. There's a few different spots where at 25 and 33, they're going to be able to improve this football team in a lot of different ways. Barry to Hatchet, I just want to say welcome to the stream. I know you've been in a lot of our streams in the past. I just want to welcome you back in here. It's awesome seeing you. Jared X, you've been absolutely killing it today too with all the support. We know how great of a subscriber you've been. Kyron, Jacob Corder, I know you've been in here the whole time as well. Really appreciate it. Sin C, it's been absolutely awesome having you in here. And guys, let's please not spam so that it's easier for us to get the picks counted so that we can get this mock draft right based on what you guys think. 1 vote per person, please. That is the easiest way to do this as we're going through. And Jacksonville right now, it does seem like it's a little bit of a split board, but I do think that there is a slight lead for one player at this point. Austin, do you think that as well, or do you think it looks like it's close?
No, it's very close. Right now it's coming down to Trayvon Merrick and Pat Freiermuth. So I think we're going to have to wait it out a little bit. I think we're very, very close because we got, there's Freiermuth up there.
Yeah, but look, it does almost like an even tie right now at this point. We're going to give it another minute here to make this selection. Get your comments in, everyone, and we will get to the answer here. Sid and C says Pat Freiermuth is leading at the moment. So if you want Pat Freiermuth to be the pick, go ahead, throw his name in there if you haven't voted already to try and get him a bigger lead so he is the selection. And if you want Trayvon Merrick, throw his name in there, see if you guys can catch up real quick. We have 24 live viewers at the moment. It's absolutely awesome having all the support from you guys. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Austin, with the names on it's between right now with Pat Freiermuth and Trayvon Merrick, would you be happy with either or?
There's one I'm not super high on as well. I'm not happy with a certain player. I'm going to wait till our pick is in, and it is in. I think it's fair to say. But before we go and continue with that pick, we are starting to do a little bit of private content. If you want to join the Utility Sports crew, that's kind of what we're going to be branding as special content for you. It's going to be a subscription, and you will get all of our latest NFL mock drafts. You're also going to get like NFL big boards and what we think position by position. A lot of exclusive content. So if you are interested in that, we will be doing that moving forward. We have grown enough to the point where we have a good enough fan base where we think that if you want some of that exclusive stuff, you can go ahead and do that little subscription. It's going to be a cheap deal, but I think for the value that you could get with it, I think it's really, really interesting moving forward potentially for you. And we'll give a little more information in the future. But getting to the pick, I think you can go ahead and cue the sound for me.
Yep, here you are, Austin.
With the 25th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Pat Freiermuth, tight end, Penn State. I'm not the biggest Pat Freiermuth fan. I think that, athletically, he's a little slow for my liking, but he does impact the run game as well, can be a potential red zone threat. He was nicknamed Baby Gronk throughout his career at Penn State. So Jacksonville finally getting themselves a tight end that they need desperately. Pat Freiermuth from Penn State is the pick. I'd also like to encourage everybody to get that Browns pick in there while we give the analysis here for Jacksonville. Sheldon, how do you feel about that pick at 25?
I go back and forth on Pat Freiermuth. Now, I'm going to say it. He's no Kyle Pitts. He's not anywhere close to Kyle Pitts. He's not going to be that generational pass catcher. But remember, just a few years ago, we saw a guy like TJ Hawkinson go top 10 in an NFL draft. And I think Pat Freiermuth could have a similar impact in terms of what he brings in the run game. I think he can be a reliable pass target. I think he gives Jacksonville a little bit of a different element than they've had in the past at that tight end position. Someone who's going to be sure-handed, reliable, but also really good in the run game. He's going to help out along the offensive line quite a bit in really establishing the run. I think that's going to be a key part of that team there in Jacksonville, is trying to get James Robinson moving on the ground. I do think Pat Freiermuth is – now, I don't necessarily know if I would have taken him at 25. I would have maybe waited to 33, but I definitely understand with the desire to get him here in the first round. That way you don't risk out losing him. I do have him as my number 2 tight end on the board myself, but I think that there is some other tight ends as well that could be nice options a little bit later on in the draft. And going back to that membership you're talking about, Austin, just so we give some of the information on that while they are getting their picks in for the Browns, it is just a membership to our YouTube channel. And in that, some of the perks you'll get are specific emotes that you can use during our live streams. One of them is a mock draft wizard hat. I think that's pretty funny. We also have a hot take emoji. For those of you who don't know, Austin and I call each other the mock draft wizard whenever one of us posts an individual mock draft, just kind of making fun of each other a little bit. That's kind of a fun play on words. So if you guys want to start spamming mock draft wizard in the comment section, you could join the membership program. I believe it's just $5 a month, so not very expensive. And of course, only do that if you do want to support us here at Utility Sports. It would just help giving us a little bit more revenue and making sure we can put in more money into the channel, trying to get some of our stuff improved for you guys to put out better content each and every month as we go about growing still here at Utility Sports. We love all the support. And on top of that, you would also get those private videos like Austin was talking about that we've been posting here at Utility Sports. So now looking at the Browns pick, Austin, it looks like there is a little bit of a divide here on which way they would want to go. Looks like the Sheldon Richardson release is having a little bit of an impact on the voting here as well. We'll see who they end up going. Austin, is there a specific guy, if you were running Cleveland, you don't have to say who it is, but is there a guy with who's on the board that you would prioritize?
Yeah, there is, and that kind of remained true for the last couple of picks, the same guy. I'm pretty sure that a lot of these teams could use this player in particular. I think we can go ahead and announce the pick. I think we are good to go. Cue me for the draft sound. Wait a second. We have a tie. Never mind. We ran the draft sound a little too early. Let's see here. Jay Mouse, welcome to the stream. I just want to make sure you notice that we did notice you in here. We really appreciate the support. You were in here during a lot of the free agency live streams. We love having you in here. Rob G's, welcome back to the stream. I saw you in here earlier. It's glad to have you back in here with all the support. You guys have killed it all stream long. It's really awesome having such a good fan base, people who are so willing to communicate in the chat with us and really push out great content. We couldn't do it without you guys, and it means so much to have all the support. Let's see here. It's between Christian Barmore and Zaven Collins at this point. 2-2 is the vote. Let's try and get a couple more votes in here. There's a lot more people watching. Vote for either Christian Barmore or Zaven Collins, whichever one you would prefer for the Cleveland Browns. It looks like Barmore is the winner. I went back and recounted here. I think we are good to go to announce that one. Cue the sound. With the 26th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Christian Barmore, defensive tackle, Alabama. And Sheldon, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on the fit and how do you like Christian Barmore as an overall prospect?
I love Christian Barmore. I think he's going to be a player that I think experts in quotes. I don't actually believe a lot of these guys are actual experts, call themselves experts. They seem to be a little bit lower on Barmore. I know I get it. He doesn't get after the quarterback as maybe as much as you want for a high-end first-round pick. But any team after pick 15 or so, I think, should really be considering him. He's going to be easily the best nose tackle from this class. He is great in the run game. He is dominant shedding blocks, and I think he's going to be a very impactful player on a defensive line in the NFL. Every team says, "Oh, we want to control the line of scrimmage. We want to do this." But then on draft day, we see Christian Barmore now fall to pick 26. There's no better player in this draft along the defensive line about controlling the line of scrimmage, especially from a run game perspective. I think he's going to be magnificent. And I think a team like Cleveland here, who has to manage their salary cap, had to move on from Sheldon Richardson, would be well-suited grabbing Christian Barmore now at 26. Austin, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree completely. I think he is being a little bit undervalued in this NFL draft process. At pick 27, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Go ahead and throw it in the chat. Once again, we have the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. A couple of interesting names out there. It seems like these linebackers have taken a little bit of a dip here. Is there a possibility that we see Baltimore look at that linebacker spot? Or do you think they could be suited best for an edge? I think there's a clear and obvious guy that I like fit-wise for them that could be the pick here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Austin. Here is an update on the edges available. We got Azeez Ojulari, Jason Oweh, Joe Tryon, Ronnie Perkins, Gregory Russo, Joseph Osai, Carlos Basham are the top ones available at this point, just for a touch-up there. But like you mentioned, the linebacker position seems to be the one that is falling just a little bit. Also, wide receivers, that is a good question there. Let me make sure to show off the wide receivers. Elijah Moore's on the board, Kadarius Toney, Terrace Marshall, Rondale Moore, Amari Rogers out of Clemson, Diami Brown, and Nico Collins are the top wide receivers yet on the board at this point. It seems like those are the two positions that would make the most sense. But like you said, linebacker has fallen. Last year we saw the Ravens take advantage of that, grabbing a linebacker in Patrick Queen. Maybe they could look back at building up their front seven again by grabbing another linebacker. I do think this is a tough spot, but I do think that there's one guy that sticks out to me as well here for the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see which way they go. It does look like there is a narrow lead for Azeez Ojulari. We're going to give this another 30 seconds, guys. Get your votes in. If you want Azeez Ojulari, put that vote in. Otherwise, if you would like someone else, make sure to get that vote in so your voice is heard here. Sounds like Terrace Marshall has one vote. Gregory Russo has one vote. Jason Oweh has one vote. Azeez Ojulari leading the way with 3 votes. At this point, we'll see which way. Terrace Marshall has 2 votes now, with Barry DeHatchett also putting it. So it looks like 3-2 is the lead for Azeez Ojulari. 10 more seconds here, guys. We will see which way we ultimately go. And also, again, I just want to emphasize, I hope you have enjoyed the stream. It's been a lot of fun for me and Austin so far. So it's been awesome working with you guys. And at this point, Austin, I think we are ready to call it here if you want to make the selection.
With the 27th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens are going with Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher from Georgia. This is a guy I think is the perfect fit. This was the idea in my head I had. So you guys did a really good job in pinpointing that. I think he is that 3-4 outside linebacker for them. I think he's a phenomenal fit. I don't see him as good of a fit in a 4-3, just being a prototypical edge in that 4-3 scheme. But in the 3-4 outside linebacker, I think he fits perfectly into Baltimore's scheme.
Yeah, I think so. And they're going to look for someone who's going to replace Matt Judon there. Remember, also, the Baltimore Ravens did bring in Sammy Watkins. Maybe that impacts their decision on why they opt for a defensive edge over a wide receiver in round 1. And there's still plenty of wideouts that they could come back, find one in round 2 this year at some point. Now, at pick 28, we have the New Orleans Saints on the board. And this is actually shaped out pretty well for New Orleans. They have a big need at linebacker, and the linebackers have fallen. We've got 2 votes for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, 2 votes for Zaven Collins at this point. We will see which way they end up going. Jacob Corder, again, thank you so much for counting in the absence of Sid. You've been absolutely killing it. We appreciate all the support from you, Jacob. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys get your votes in. Got 24 live viewers at this point. Tyrese Mitchell puts in a vote for Terrace Marshall. Yet again, we'll see if Marshall does have a shot staying here in the state of Louisiana with the New Orleans Saints here at this point. It's 2-2-1 at this point. Just another minute yet to get this vote in. It does look like Zaven Collins is in the lead now, 3-2. 30 more seconds yet to get this vote in. Austin, what's your thoughts on this mock draft as a whole so far?
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job staying within the realm of possibility. I think they did a really, really nice job rounding out some of these teams and addressing key issues. I don't think there was any player in particular I was, thinking it was a reach at all at this point. The one thing I'm a little surprised is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is still out there. However, that could possibly change with that pick, but it looks like Zaven Collins is going to be the selection.
Yes, it is. The pick is in here with the 28th overall selection in the 2021 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa, and he was a big part of what they did this year. With the 29th pick, the Green Bay Packers are now on the clock. You guys can go ahead and put your picks in for the Packers. Let's hear them in the chat right now. Austin, break down Zaven Collins landing next to Demario Davis in New Orleans.
Yeah, I love that for the New Orleans Saints, just because Zaven Collins is one of those guys that is kind of getting pushed back with some of the depth at that linebacker spot. Obviously, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Micah Parsons are the top two, but Zaven Collins is not that far behind that group. I mean, he's a tremendous player, really good, really good at tackling in space as well. I think that's something that I really like about him. Also, he's got flexible hips, can play in coverage. I could see him, getting a little better at that. Currently, not the best cover guy in the class, but I think he's kind of in that middle tier of coverage. But Zaven Collins at 28, I'd like that for New Orleans. I think that's the pick they need to make. And now kind of readdressing the Packers being on the clock here, I'm seeing Trayvon Merrick. I'm saying Alex Leatherwood. I'm seeing Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So a lot of variation, guys. Go ahead, throw it in the chat. We got to get this pinpointed down. This is going to be a pick that's I feel like it's going to be kind of all over the place.
Yeah, this one is wide open to me as well. I think that you could look at the offensive tackle spot. We see an offensive tackle's name already out there. I think linebacker with who's on the board does make some sense. Also could really use a cornerback, wide receiver. At this point, we do have a slight lead for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. We'll take just another 30 seconds here for this pick, but at this point, it does look like a pretty big lead for Owusu-Koramoah. Just another 20 seconds. Get your votes in. Otherwise, Owusu-Koramoah does look like the pick at this point for Green Bay. Austin, interesting mock draft at this point. I did not expect Owusu-Koramoah to fall all the way down to 29. What grade would you give an Owusu-Koramoah pick here at 29?
Well, this is a guarantee A for me personally. Borderline A plus. I think if you fall a little further, you can deem that an A plus. But this is an A grade. I would really like this for the Green Bay Packers if they go ahead and select them. And I think that the comment section is getting it right with that pick. I think we can go ahead and announce that.
With the 29th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. I love this selection. I think this is an A++ pick. I have him as a top 10 player most likely in my class. I need to do a little bit more fine-tuning on my big board before I can confidently say that. But at this point, I think he's for sure top 12 for me. Austin, I know earlier you said top 15 for you, at least for sure, probably a little bit higher even possibly. I think his instincts are great. I think he's going to be very good. And I would hate to see him land in Green Bay, to be honest. I hope he lands somewhere that I can really enjoy watching him play a little bit more. But at this point, I think that all in all, Owusu-Koramoah would be a phenomenal pick for the Green Bay Packers. That defense would take another huge step forward. And now we have Jer X's Buffalo Bills on the clock here at pick 30. We will see who they would opt for at this pick. Austin, break down Owusu-Koramoah a little bit more. What does he bring to the table?
He's definitely underrated in pass coverage. I think that's something that people are not talking enough about. Definitely, he's one of the better pass coverage guys in the class. I think number one is Jabril Cox out of LSU is the best one currently. He's the guy that could be a borderline first-round pick. He's going to be in that second round more likely, but this linebacker class is pretty deep. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I was not expecting him to be at 29. He's another really good athlete at that linebacker position. Phenomenal pick by Green Bay.
Yeah, definitely. I think so as well. This is a point of the draft where if you can find someone as talented as Owusu-Koramoah, regardless of position, I think that you have to go ahead and pull the trigger there. That's a very good grab. Now at pick 30, we got the Buffalo Bills. Make sure you guys get your picks in here. Right now we got a 1-1 tie between Jason Oweh and Eric Stokes. Jer X, we'd also love to hear from you. We have a vote for Gregory Russo here. I think the Bills have a lot of different positions they could look at. Cornerback 2 makes a lot of sense. Finding another edge for that roster would be sensible as well. They brought in Emmanuel Sanders this offseason. Austin, looking at their wide receivers with Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, do you think that they need to find one in this draft yet at this point? Or do you think that they wait on that for another year?
I think they could wait later in the draft. I do think that they will have a couple of options to take some guys later on. Guys like Tylan Wallace are very good potential fits with them in the later rounds. I don't think they'll push for that. I think they're going to look at that corner spot. I think our comments section is kind of leaning towards Eric Stokes as it currently sits. Gregory Rousseau also very, very close in this.
Yeah, I think that Eric Stokes does have a slight lead right now. We're going to go 15 seconds yet at this point to make the pick. But at this point, it does look like Stokes has the lead. Oh, actually, no, it looks like Russo has the lead. We got a vote from Cordair. Kyron actually changed his pick from Stokes earlier. So it looks like it's 3-2 in favor of Gregory Russo at this point, with Rob G's also going Gregory Russo here. Very interesting. I know a lot of people have lost steam on Gregory Russo, but it does sound like there is a little bit of favor for him here at pick 30. And that is going to end up being the pick. The pick is in here with the 30th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Buffalo Bills go ahead and select edge Gregory Rousseau out of the University of Miami. He goes up here. Austin, I know you like Gregory Rousseau. What could he bring to the table?
Gregory Rousseau offers tremendous upside. He's one of the strongest players in class just watching him on film. I think he's not super technically sound, but I do think he offers great upside with his upper body strength that he does provide. He's a big, tall, lanky edge. He's going to knock down a lot of balls at the next level as well. So I think that this is one of those A-graded picks as well. I picked 30. Now we're on to 31 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Go ahead and put your picks in the comments section below. I'm really excited to see where the Chiefs go. Obviously, it just came up short in that Super Bowl, but now what can they do to bounce back?
Kyron says Chiefs select Alex the accountant. That's just, I don't know, one of the more random but funny comments I saw. That was pretty funny, Kyron. Thank you for that. Dimes here says Alex Leatherwood. Patrick Smith also says Alex Leatherwood. Looks like a quick lead there for Alex Leatherwood at this point. We will see.
Go ahead and that pick, I think, is pretty safe here.
I'll go right. Alex Leatherwood with the 31st overall pick. The Kansas City Chiefs select Alex Leatherwood out of the University of Alabama. They go ahead and find their offensive tackle. And now we have the final pick in the first round. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, the reigning Super Bowl champs, brought back all their starters. Now it's up to you guys. Finish out this first round. Who will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take at pick 32? Austin, looking at that too, Alex Leatherwood, what's your thoughts landing there in Kansas City?
Yeah, Kansas City, they made a push at that guard position, obviously, with the signing of Joe Thuney. But at this point, I think that at 32, or excuse me, at 31, Alex Leatherwood is a really good pick. You have to shore up that tackle spot.
Yes, most definitely. I think so as well. Yes, I will show the whole board here. Thank you for commenting that. Trayvon Merrick still out on the board as well. I know safety not necessarily a need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he would be an interesting grab there at 33 for your Jags if he does make it out of the first round. That would be very interesting. We are seeing a couple votes for Rondale Moore at this point. It looks like Rondale Moore actually has a very big lead. Make sure you guys are commenting which Moore you want. At this point, I'm assuming you want Rondale Moore, but it's possible you would want Elijah Moore. There are two more wide receivers. So make sure to comment if you want Elijah or Rondale at this point, because otherwise we're just going to have to make a guess on which one you guys want between the two. Make sure to comment their full name, especially with these two playing the same position and having the same last name makes it a little more difficult. We do have a vote there for Rondale. It looks like Rondale was the one in the lead for a while. Sid and C says, yep, the rumor here on the Bengals wanting Jamar Chase. Yeah, that is a rumor going around. Now, that could be a smokescreen as well, hoping that a team moves up ahead of them, trying to take Jamar Chase and hope that they land Penei Sewell. There's always these games being played at this point. I do think Jamar Chase possibly could land in Cincy, though. That was a big drawing point in our draft here at pick 5. We ultimately had the viewers decide to go with Penei Sewell, but I think Jamar Chase still definitely is in play here. Austin, and it does sound like the 32nd pick is in here at this point. I will have you break it down post-draft sound.
With the 32nd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are selecting Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue. It's going to work primarily out of the slot. He is very, very quick. His change of direction is pretty good. I like Rondale Moore as a prospect. I think everybody did a really, really nice job as a whole on this draft. I think that Rondale Moore could be a potential fit there in Tampa Bay. So phenomenal job, guys. Job well done. Obviously, we have concluded the draft. Once again, thank you again for contributing. You were the main source of our mock draft here, so you were the primary reason for those picks, and we had a lot of fun doing this, and we hope you had a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. You absolutely killed it. Hit that subscribe button if you are new and haven't done so already. We would love to have all the support. We want to have you guys around. Really awesome having this great collaboration with you. I know me and Austin both enjoy it so much, all the support from you guys. And we'll catch you in the very next video, hoping to do more live streams soon. Glad you enjoyed it, Kyron, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.